In this video, I'm going to be covering what creates a winning cold email in 2025, or what creates winning cold email messaging in 2025. This will be pretty much a candid masterclass on everything I know after sending millions of cold emails to for dozens of B2B offers to pretty much every big B2B industry you can think of. This is going to be a congregation of all the knowledge I've collected on what I've seen specifically works for a cold email outbound. And I'm going to go over each of these points. And I'm also going to dive deeper into each of these points. So I'm going to write further notes on each of these and give some really specific and niche details on what I see work for certain offers. Because, not each of these rules is fully applicable to every single offer, right? What's going to be applicable for, let's say, targeting e-commerce with an email marketing offer is not going to be the same as selling a you know advanced data analytics software to construction companies. It's just going to be two completely different frameworks and strategies that you're going to have to implement to get results for either of those. So this isn't like a one size fits all thing, but I think I kind of have a pretty good understanding of there's a formula behind messaging for all these different industries and niches and whatnot. And I think I have a pretty good understanding of that. And in this video today, I'm going to be explaining that to you guys from what I've seen works. Um, so after you've watched this video, you have a very, very clear understanding of what creates a good cold email, what doesn't, and have a baseline frameworks on writing specific messaging for offers and having more confidence when you're developing your cold email campaigns, based on these rules, these data backed rules that I've sort of created in my mind, after sending millions of cold emails. So yeah, and to preface all of this, um, number one most important thing when it comes to cold email messaging is the offer. So let's say if you're trying to sell cybersecurity, it's going to be really difficult because it's a really difficult offer to sell to cold traffic. And the question is like why? Like why are certain offers difficult to sell? Like why is SEO difficult to sell a cold email or sell over cold email? Why is cybersecurity hard to sell? Why is it selling a full service marketing agency offer? Why is that difficult to sell? Why are these more complex offerings or hyper saturated offerings difficult to sell? Well, something like SEO, why it's difficult to sell is because obviously it's hyper saturated. People have been selling it for the past 10, 20 years. Of course, you can still sell it. It's just really difficult because prospects are fully, um, let's say, jaded to the offer. Like they've seen everything under the sun, and also in a lot of cases, prospects just don't actually just don't need it, because it's such a slow burner thing. So when it comes to things like that, or even selling insurance or recruiting offers where it's more. This is a term that Daniel Fazio coined, demand capture, where the offer requires to capture demand from people who were already seeking it versus demand generation, where this is something you can bring to the market and generate demand for your offer. So, for example, SEO, this is definitely more demand capture offer because really the only people who are buying SEO are people who have already shown interest in it. Um, Same with like, let's say, like cybersecurity. People are really only buying cybersecurity because they need it in that moment. Most companies, if like for example, my company, we don't have any need for cybersecurity at the moment because we're just not that skill yet. Um, but really, as a company really seeks out cybersecurity once some sort of attack happens, some cyber attack happens, and they need it in that moment. Um, or insurance, maybe there's some big disaster in one of their offices. Then the company is like, okay, I need insurance now. So because with cold email, it's a lot of selling in the right time, right place. Um, and with situations like that, where like the prospect has to really have the need to buy the whatever you're selling, most cases it's just not gonna work. It's just gonna be too much of an uphill battle to sell. Of course, you can still run cold email for each of these offers, but the expected KPIs are going to be much different. So honestly, to give you like a good sort of to conceptualize what this looks like. So let's say you have a bad offer. I'm going to make like 3 tiers. So like bad offer, decent offer, good offer, and then incredible offer. So I'm going to give sort of baseline KPIs from what I've seen for each of these offers, and you can kind of judge, where your offer is within these KPIs. And I'll give some examples for each of these. So let's say bad offer. This is going to be SEO, cybersecurity, and then let's say like recruiting. These are all offers that are notorious for being really difficult to sell before, for cold email. And I want to cover this first before I dive into these points, because this is important to understand before getting into like what works for cold email messaging, because the thing is results will vary. So let's say if you have a bad offer, I'm going to judge these KPIs by leads generated per contact, or per contacts, or one lead generated per X amount of contacts needed to contact. So if you're working with a bad offer, I'd say you're going to generate one interested lead every, let's say like 1,000 to like 5,000 contacts. Or I'll say between 10,000, because it could be even more. So it's going to be in the like 1,000. I'll say like that. The results you're going to see is you're going to need to contact. Here, let me actually format this better. You're going to contact to be about 1,000 to 10,000 contacts who are your ICP fit to generate one interested lead with a bad offer. It's typically the case. It's typically the case. It's typically over 1,000 contacts. You're going to really. I mean, I'd say this is like sort of the range. Maybe, probably 2,000 in most cases, like the bare minimum when you're working with a hard offer. Like if you have a good script in place and you're selling cybersecurity, if you're getting one lead every 1,000 contacts, you're doing good. Like you're actually doing good. Even with recruiting too, if you're generating one lead every 1,000 contacts, that's solid. Because then you can look at these numbers and then just run the numbers, right? If you're generating one lead every 1,000 contacts for a recruiting offer, then that means if you send 100,000 emails per month, you can generate 100 leads, and then that's something you can work off of, and that's actually a decent result. So yeah, you're going to notice that some of these offers are going to require more volume than others, but really, when you have a bad offer, this is sort of the range you'll see. Now, let's say you have a decent offer. Let's say you offer like email marketing. I'd almost even put this in the bad offer category, but we'll say email marketing, ad creative. Like the really basic offers. We can even throw like cold email in here. If you have a decent offer, if you're generating one contact every like 500 to 1,000 contacts for these types of offers, it could be better, of course, but like just to give an average, if you're within this range for these types of offers, it's pretty decent. That's not bad. Like these are like the base KPIs you'd want to see if you have a decent offer. And of course, for email marketing or ad creative or cold email, you could get better results in this. You could be generating one lead every 200 contacts, 300 contacts, 100 contacts. Depends how good the your targeting is, your messaging is. But to give like a general average result, that's sort of what you'll see is kind of like this range. So yeah, around like the 500 to 1,000 contacts range, they'll be generating like one interested lead. Now for a good offer, let's say Something around like TikTok Shop or like influencer marketing. I just seen these have worked really well. Um, really, with all these good offers though, I was mentioning these two. Um, a lot of good offers. It's typically something that's really unique. So, like for example, we worked with a client that is the SaaS that sells like automated playlists to venues to replace DJs. So it's like something like it's not really a niche, right? Maybe I'll have to like PMF SaaS. Um, something, yeah. It's a lot of the cases, the best offers you work with are going to be the most random offers, but there's still some offers that are like well known, widespread that the market still wants. So like TikTok Shop and influencer marketing. These are still things that people really want and are still super interested in. Like really like a product market fit SaaS, like the one I just mentioned, or let's say we're sending cold emails for let's say we're sending cold emails for Email Bison, targeting outbound agencies. A big pain point in the outbound agency space um, is deliverability, right? And with like a lot of these outbound agencies, they're having issues with tools like Smart Leader Instantly because they're kind of glitchy. The Whirlpool has issues, etc. Um, Email Bison's a really interesting solution. Um, so targeting the right agencies with that is a really good outbound campaign. And typically, the results we can see for a good offer is going to be generating one lead every 200 to 500 contacts. And really, the base KPI you want to see for these is like the 300 contact range. But being within this range, depending on your targeting, if you're targeting like bigger companies that are in the thousands employee count range, then it can vary. But again, if you're in this range, then that's like a pretty decent result in this case. But yeah, as I mentioned, with good offers, typically in a lot of the cases, it's going to be more unique offers or things on the market that we know the market currently wants, like TikTok Shop, influencer marketing, or unique SaaS solutions. Now with an incredible offer. So incredible offers are always going to be something that it's just like a random, it's just something completely random, and they have a blue ocean TAM. Like these are things that are just so completely random. You can't even you can't really even target them. Like if you were to, if I was to run outbound to get clients from my outbound agency, this is something like I couldn't even target because it's so niche in particular. Like for example, I can't get too in depth with what I'm going to be mentioning here for this client because we do have an NDA. But this client, they offer a very unique uh, solution to architects, like architectural firms, on very specific projects that these architectural firms work on for their clients. And it's something that it's so specific that like maybe probably less than 20 companies in the world even offer it. So yeah, that's like with incredible offers, it's always something that's just like so unique that you know, you're really like kind of one of a kind in your industry, and you're kind of just one of like the best in the industry. Um, so it's really going to be some like miscellaneous offer that is both unique and um, extremely valuable. And if you're a company watching this video and um, yeah, you have a really unique offer solution, you can kind of gauge like where your company is at within these four brackets. Because I'm sure as a company you've already done some sort of outreach, or you've gotten market feedback from your market in some capacity. So like looking at this list, you can get a pretty decent gauge of where you're at. Like let's say if you have some super unique SaaS solution that you're just bringing to market, then this could be something that's absolutely great, and that could be classified an incredible offer. But most cases, A lot of you guys are not going to be in this category, and like results you could see from the incredible offer category is generating 1 lead every 50 to 200 contacts, or maybe even less. It could be 25 contacts, and generate 1 interested lead at this with one of these offers. So really, got to have everything in place for this, right? You got to have I mean, that's not even true though. Really, if you just have an incredible offer that targets a great industry, then this is like something that you could see. But so I just want to lay all this out first, because this will kind of set expectations when it comes to developing cold email campaigns for certain offers, and then writing scripts around these offers too. And when I go through this list here, this will make a lot more sense why I broke all this stuff out. Because the way you write your scripts, depending on where your offering ends up in one of these brackets, is actually going to differentiate. So, and I'm going to give examples as I go through this and why this is applicable. Because for some offers, you have to do more than others, right? So let's just dive into it. So the first sort of point I've made here, scripts need to be less than 75 words. So sub 75 word email scripts, right? I originally had this at 45 emails, but the thing is, for some of our clients, we're running longer scripts now, which is interesting to see because, and this is something that varies so much. Like it, for example, again, if you have an incredible offer, you could have a 150 word email script and you'll still book a ton of meetings. But if you have a bad offer and you have a 150 email script, I can guarantee you're going to book 0 meetings, right? So each of these rules amplifies as you go up the tier of, let's say, down the tiers of offers. So like if you're running a bad offer, each of these rules is significantly more applicable or is more necessary for you to implement to get any results. Whereas if you have an incredible offer, and let's say something's a bit more complex, so you do need to actually have a longer email to explain it further, then in that case, it's okay to have a longer email, right? None of this stuff is completely set in stone. You could go against all these rules, but if you have an amazing offer, then it just works. You could have links, you could have a picture in it, you could have a 150 word email script, and it might just still work if you have an incredible offer. But I can guarantee you, if you have a 150 word email script, and you throw pictures and links and all that stuff for a bad offer like SEO cybersecurity, like I can guarantee you, it is not going to work at all. 0%. You could send 50,000 emails and generate 0 meetings. Genuinely doing that. So yeah, really sub 55, 75 word email scripts. And I'd say the further you climb up the ladder of bad offerness, the shorter you want the script to be. Ideally, 45 emails, 45 words in your email script. You'd want it to be. And I'm going to go over some email examples later that pretty much all these examples. There's some of these frameworks are tailored for shorter emails. Some of them are a bit longer, and I can kind of explain to you like which of these frameworks will be best for specific offers and scenarios and things like that as well. Now, number 2, strong front-end offer, introductory offer specifically for cold traffic. So again, the further you go up this ladder of suckiness for your offer, the much more applicable this specifically becomes. Because what this does, it makes your bad offer better. So let's say you want to run a free, like a front-end or introductory offer for recruiting. What you can do here, if you're really struggling to get acquisition, is you can offer a free month trial of one of your higher placements for the whatever company you want to work with, whatever company is qualified. So you can reach out saying, "Hey, I saw you were recently. You posted a job posting for an accountant. we offer recruiting services, and we have an accountant that is a perfect fit for your company. We'd be open to placing this accountant for free for your company for 1 month, um, and giving you guys a test run with them. And then you say, like, make your overall offer really enticing. Like, we pay on like perform, or you pay on performance or whatever. You pay on hours worked, etc. And like we have like a competitive low rate compared to the entire industry. Um, but that's an example of turning an offer that typically really difficult to sell at cold traffic into something that's actually enticing to the right person. Because if that person has been exploring recruiting agency options, and they need an accountant, then that's an excellent email for them to receive. That's really going to be something that entices them, because you're offering a free month of work for the accountant. So if the accountant does good work and you said they're fully vetted and they're specifically good for their company, then that could be something that's very interesting, right? So that's an example of a front end / introductory offer. It's something that you can typically offer for free or at an extremely good discount or an extremely good deal, that gets clients in the door in your ecosystem, to where then you can then upsell them into your main offer. But let's say you have an incredible offer or a good offer. All the cases you don't have to do anything like that. What you could do is just mention your offer. Say, like, hey, you know, we offer, um, we have a community of. This is an example from a friend who's running an incredible offer. Um, we have a community of top 1% TikTok creators, um, that are willing to promote your products in our community or whatever. Would you be interested in joining the community for free? Like, that's an incredible offer. It's like, okay, you have a community of top 0.1% TikTok creators who have generated over $1 million in sales, and you're offering these brands to join the community for free to connect with these creators and have them promote their products. It's absolutely no brainer. Like, why would they not join? It wouldn't like it just like why would they not join that? Right? Like, if they're looking to advertise or do some sort of influencer marketing content, because which most of these brands know how powerful that is, because it literally requires zero ad spend. That's an absolutely no brainer. Like, what? It's completely free. Well, I guess it's kind of a front offer, but that's like the actual offer itself. Or you could say, let's say it was paid. Say, hey, we have a community of 100 plus uh, top 1% TikTok creators who have generated over 100 million sales together. We are giving limited brands access to this community. Would you be interested in discussing? Um, would you be interested in chatting about potentially joining this community and getting access to these creators? And then it could be like a $3,000 per month thing, but that's something that'll get a lot of people on calls, because it's just a great offer, right? Um, so yeah, and let's say for like a good offer, if you offer like influencer marketing or something like that, like just straight influencer marketing services, or you have a SaaS of some sort, then what you can do is you can pretty much mention your offer, slap a case study, mention a case study of like a relevant brand to the people you're reaching out to, and then just offer, like, ask, like, hey, interested in more info, or interested in discussing further, or you can send like a little lead magnet, like sales deck or whatever, or send the case study to them. Then that works well too. And then I'd say when you enter the decent offer range too, that's typically when you're gonna have to offer like free things. So if you offer email marketing services, typically offering like a free email campaign is really solid, or offering a free ad creative, or offering a free email campaign, cold / email campaign, or like lead list. So I think when you're in the bad offer to decent offer range, that's really when you're going to have to leverage these front end / introductory offers. So, and the thing is, most of you guys are probably going to be in this range. So really, I would take some time developing ideas for, like, okay, what's something that we can offer for free or at an incredible discount to cold traffic that can get more clients in the door, which then we can then upsell them in the future. Um, so we can just have that consistent pipeline being generated on the front end. But when you have a good offer to incredible offer, really, I'd say the main thing is just packaging your offer in the most attractive messaging possible, like mentioning the main benefits and like time frames and things like that, and also mentioning hyper relevant social proof is really what's going to be the most important things when it comes for the good offers. Next, great B2B company founder. So this is kind of outside of the messaging side of things, but this is something that's great to mention too. So with this, sorry, I just kind of brain for you. With this, having a really the stronger your brand is. So this is something that's really important. Let's say if you just brought a SaaS to market, having a very strong B2B brand as a founder, specifically on LinkedIn and YouTube. Twitter could be useful too as well. But most cases, when someone looks up your company and you're like if you're reaching out as a founder as in your cold email campaigns, if someone searches you up, the first things that they're going to see is your LinkedIn and your YouTube, and that's what they're going to want to see too. Is LinkedIn and YouTube, and if you have a presence on these channels, that's going to be absolutely huge for you. Also, if you have like a Google page, that's incredible. It's great for SEO. And also just overall having an optimized website. So having a good, clean website, super crucial. Like for example, for myself, you should be able to see this. Yeah. So for myself, like I have a really solid, LinkedIn presence. I got about almost 10K followers. I post daily, and this really helps me converting leads over cold traffic for our internal campaigns. Because when people hop on the calls, I send a pre-call message linking them to my socials and things like that. But also when they do basic research on me, they see all this stuff, right? And they also see like my YouTube channel, which you guys are probably already looking at. Also send them more social proof, and then we also have just a really clean website with case studies and a VSL. I mean, these case studies could definitely be updated, but we just have a really solid funnel in place, and this helps a lot with cold traffic. So and again, the more important this becomes, or the more difficult or suckier your offer is, the more important this is. Because let's say you're selling SEO, but you are like the SEO guy, like you are the most popular SEO guy in the market on LinkedIn, on YouTube, all this stuff. If you're that guy and you send cold email to these people, that's going to significantly boost your conversion rates, like significantly. Like, let's say if Chase Diamond, he's kind of like the email marketing guy, he reaches out to an ecom brand, offering email marketing services of some sort. He's going to have a much higher response rate because most people just know him. Like, he's just that well known in that space. So that's how powerful a brand is when it comes to outbound. Because if people just know you, like if there's a chance of these companies you're reaching out to knowing you, or when they do research, they see that like you're that guy, that's going to really spark interest, and that's going to build significantly more trust. Because a lot of the problems that you face with outbound is that people simply just don't trust you. Because again, you're just a random person reaching out to these people. So having a really good funnel in place, again, it's just going to amplify everything. If you have an amazing funnel in place, like you're just that guy, you have big following, you post daily, you post good content, and you have an incredible offer. I mean, that's where you're generating like one lead every 25 contacts, or I mean, that's like kind of the peak if you're doing this at scale. So that's when you're just printing. But again, even if you have a bad offer, like if you're the recruiting agency, or like you're the guy in the space that's known for being like someone who's just like a wizard in the space of recruiting, then again, it's like that just helps with conversion so much, or even cybersecurity, etc. I mean, I know cybersecurity and recruiting, it's like becoming that guy in the space. Like these are massive spaces, so that's kind of a difficult thing to do. But like SEO, email marketing, ad creative, cold email, even like again, when I reach out to offer cold email services, sometimes people like won't even know me. So great B2B company and founder funnel, super important. And I always recommend to reach out as the founder for your cold email campaigns. If you have a good brand. If you don't, then you can just use like some random like female email addresses, because females get higher response rates overall. But yeah, next point, email messaging. Yeah, you want to be as written as casual and easy to read as possible. This is applicable to everything. Um, yeah, this is really applicable to everything, and it can kind of vary depending on the industry you're going after. Like, I mean, even that's questionable. I'd say targeting enterprise, you probably can't be super casual. Typically, they're more cordial. Um, but you don't want to be like robotic, right? That's really the main thing here. Just don't be robotic in your messaging. Make it seem like you're writing an internal email to a coworker. That's really the best way I like to look at cold emails. Is you want to make your cold email look like you're sending it as an internal email to another one of your coworkers. I don't really need to dive too deep on this. I feel like this is kind of well known already. It's not like a major point to cover, but just don't sound like a robot. And if you're going to use AI to write your emails, proofread it and adjust it because it's going to actually sound like a robot because it came from a robot. So yeah, that covers that. Again, I mean it's pretty simple. Nothing too crazy on that. Great social proof that's adjacent to industries you're reaching out to. So this again, this is kind of an interesting one because sometimes social proof matters and doesn't matter depending on what you're selling. And this actually kind of has a reverse effect on this sort of tier list. So if you mention some amazing social proof you've gotten for an SEO offer, to be honest, like when you're selling these really saturated offers to these industries, um, a lot of times they just don't care about the social proof at all. Like I've sent so many emails I've sent millions of emails to e-commerce for email marketing agencies and ad creative. And one thing I noticed is that they don't care about case studies. They really don't. You could say you generate $10 million for Nike. They don't care because they've seen everything. So that's the problem with offers that have been like really saturated over cold email. Social proof starts to become less effective because so many people have said very similar claims um, as you are. So it just simply is not as effective. So kind of a reverse effect. And if you have an incredible offer and you mention really specific social proof, that amplifies that even harder. So it's even better. So it's kind of a tough one. That's why really when it comes to bad offers or decent offers, like mid offers, um, emphasizing the offer itself over everything is the most important thing. And then emphasizing like a pain point, these different things is really, really the most important thing. Not mentioning some ridiculous social proof you got. At least from my personal experience and the data we've collected for sending emails for these types of offers, really like social proof is just it's not as effective because every company's seen it. Whereas for something that's like not like a good offer or something that's an incredible offer, where it's something that some these companies want, or is just less saturated in general, then mentioning industry relevant social proof is really important and helps out a lot. Um, Especially if you're not using some sort of crazy front end offer, mentioning some sort of social proof of some sort is really important for these offers, to be honest. So, but it doesn't hurt though. Like you can mention the PS, a recent case study you got for, let's say, if you're targeting, say you're targeting, I can't think of industry for some reason. Let's say you're targeting clothing brands, and let's say you're targeting like athletic wear brands. Let's get more specific, and you have a case study with another athletic wear brand for email marketing. You can just throw them in the PS and say like, hey, we recently helped um, this other athletic brand scale to $500,000 per month in email revenue strictly, which is 40% of their attributed revenue. And you can just throw that in the PS. It helps out a lot. Or it doesn't. I mean, that just helps out a little bit. But again, these companies have seen everything, right? On to the next point, because I know this video is already pretty long. This is a valuable video, though. This is really valuable. Like this is like everything you really need to know when it comes to writing your messaging. And this. I know like a lot of people have questions, or I see on the internet a lot of people mentioning like strict guidelines for email scripts, but I've never seen anyone speak about how these guidelines apply to each of these different offers at these different tiers. Really, I've never seen anyone mention this specifically. So that's why I wanted to create this video and cover these very specific points. Now, next point, number 7, offer directly solves a persona level pain point or desire. So this gets more important, again, the worse your offer is. So if let's say you're running a cybersecurity offer. This is an interesting one. So let's say you use GPT to research recent cybersecurity attacks that are within the area of the company you're reaching out to. So let's say the company is based in, I'm trying to think of a small city. Let's say they're based in San Clemente, California. That's where I'm from. Let's say this company is based in San Clemente, California, and you research cybersecurity attacks in this area for these like bigger companies. You can mention on the email, so like, hey, I saw, like, did you hear about the cybersecurity attack that happened 2 weeks ago for X company in San Clemente? We know that this area is at risk, or companies like yours are at risk for attacks similar to these. Our company, or we want to reach out to you offering this like really specific solution for avoiding these attacks, and like we'll offer this for free or give you like a free audit of your system, et cetera, blah, blah. So, having these really, really specific pain points or like reasons to reach out are super important. The worse your offer is. Let's say for SEO too, man, it's kind of a tough one because there's not really, SEO is pretty simple. Let's say recruiting. Let's get recruiting's better, and you're reaching out to the head of talent at a company, and you can see that their company's like on a hiring frenzy at the moment, right? And let's say they're on a hiring frenzy for like the marketing department. What you can do is you can scrape that data. Obviously, you can just like do a LinkedIn job post or Indeed, etc. And you can be like, hey, I see that your company's on a hiring frenzy for marketing roles, or like let's say salespeople too. Let's say salespeople. That's better. That's more realistic. So hey, I see your company's on a hiring frenzy for salespeople. Our recruitment agency places some of the best salespeople for a cheap rate, or we place some of the most experienced salespeople interested in a 1-month trial of one of our reps, and then work on performance, or some, you can figure that out, performance method beyond that point, and boom, that's like a really solid way. Like, it's a very specific situation that persona's in, the head of talent, to reach out with for that recruiting offer. But yeah, so I would say like the higher you get up the ladder here, the less specific you get. And honestly, getting more specific for certain offers, like let's say for influencer marketing, we have an influencer marketing agency client. Like, we worked with a couple of these agencies, and we noticed that the more specific you get with them, like reaching out to the heads of marketing and like getting really specific for use cases for influencer marketing, it made the messaging worse actually, and it performed worse. Like really for these, and getting back to this, what was working well for the influencer marketing agency client reaching out to these B2C brands was just being really simple, saying, hey, we recently ran an influencer marketing campaign for a brand similar to yours, and we generated 20 million impressions. Interested in seeing the strategy behind that campaign we launched. And that's pretty much like the email we're running for these people. And it's super simple. Didn't require any crazy intent or specific targeting, but it worked really well because it's a great offer and something that these companies need. And if you have results with those specific companies, then it works great. But yeah, the more niche your offering is, the more persona level you're gonna have to get. And this is super important for very complex offers, like things like cybersecurity or data analytics, like or like full service marketing, like anything that has a lot of different use cases, consulting. Any of these types of offers that have so many different use cases, that's when you really have to tailor the messaging and really simplify it and make it as like one-on-one to the persona that you're reaching out to. So that's where that's really applicable. But again, the worse your offer is, the more important hitting on the mark this is, and the better your offer is, the less, um, you know, the less on the mark you have to be with this in terms of the messaging side of things. Now for number 8, utilization of hyperpersonalization with AI. The use case makes sense. Um, this this isn't like the most important thing, and again, this is something that like it doesn't really matter how good or bad the offer is for this to be like viable. It just really depends on the use case of the AI. If you're just using it to create first line openers, then I mean it can increase reply rate and it could be helpful for bad offers and decent offers. But if you're using for these first liner intros for good offers and incredible offers, you're probably honestly hurting your results in a lot of cases. Um, because really, if you're selling a great offer, you don't need any personalization from what I've seen. Like, you don't need any of this AI personalization. You just need to get straight into the offer because what you're offering is so important. You can cut all the BS, get straight into it, and prospects will still be interested because you're offering something that's great. So you can skip all that. But when it comes to worse offers, it can help, but really you don't want to just utilize AI just for the first lines. You want to utilize it in a way that makes it unique. So like mentioning different use cases. So let's say like for SEO, you can mention bullet points of different SEO tactics, or like you can give each company specific keywords. You can have AI scrape that company's competitors and be like, hey, these are specific keywords that your competitors are outranking your company on, and mention those in like bullet point those in the email. That's a great use case of AI, right? That's a lot better than just saying like, hey, I saw you went to Biola University, or whatever. Like that doesn't really matter that much. So there's tons of videos on the internet that you can check out about different unique use cases on AI. You can even check my YouTube. But yeah, so the use case has to make sense to use it for it to really improve results, right? If you don't have a use case that's super relevant to that adds to the messaging, then in most cases it's better to just not use it, because then it just adds more words to your email and makes it longer. And really, we want to keep our emails as short as possible. This is an interesting one. Using pattern disrupts in the preview text. This is something that really matters if you're selling to a market that's really saturated, like e-commerce, or let's say like agencies, things like that. Using pattern disrupts in the preview text it definitely helps. It's not something that's absolutely crucial though. So I wouldn't say it's the most important point, but adding some sort of text that really like catches their eye is super important. So yeah, I won't give any specific examples on this because this is honestly not the most important thing, to be honest. But yeah, mentioning like having your first line be really interesting, or like mention a very specific pain point, or get straight into your offer that's super enticing. That helps out a lot for just like click through rate, and I think it's more important than the subject line, to be honest. Subject line, this is applicable to every offer. 1 to 3 words, lowercase subject line is just do that. Just don't overcomplicate your subject line, unless you got some absolutely crazy strategy for your subject line. Like I've seen Eric Malsowski, he's like written a full email in the subject line. Unless you're doing something like that, in most cases you're probably not. Just keep the subject line like 1 or 3 words. I would say like 1 to 2 words, to be honest, but I'll say 1 to 3 words, and keep it like super simple. Like if you're offering TikTok marketing, or like in TikTok shop, you can literally just say TikTok shop, or TikTok, or influencer, or email marketing. Like keep it so basic. Just make it look like Make it look like the subject line of an email you'd send to a coworker, like an internal email. That simple. And then number 11, final point. This is not really necessarily the messaging, but this is like the overall strategy. Just give you one follow up per campaign, and really prioritize sending new contacts. Again, this is something that's super, super, super crucial for bad offers, because as you see here, we need to hit a lot of contacts to get one interested lead. So we need to be maximizing new contacts. If you have an incredible offer, you can maybe add like 2 or 3 follow up to your campaign if you want to. But in most cases, might as well just maximize contacts, because if you're getting insane conversion rate on contacts, might as well just continue to just push new contacts and just focus on volume at that point. So yeah, that kind of covers each of the points. Now I'm going to dive into some examples. This is an extremely long video, but this is probably one of the most valuable videos you've ever seen on messaging. Like, I've never seen anyone get this in detail and mention like these specific offer tiers, and how these messaging points apply to each of them. So yeah. Now diving into email frameworks, here's like kind of the 6 go-to ones that we always use. And I'll mention like, different use cases for each. Okay. So first, email framework. First name, create a lead magnet for company, social proof tied to lead magnet, interest-based CTA. So this is like an example for, let's say like we're offering a free email for email marketing services. So you say, hey, first name, we create an email campaign for a company. We recently offered like a free email campaign, or we recently launched an email campaign for this brand that's similar to you, and that ended up generating, like, let's say $50,000 in sales for them. Interested in seeing the email campaign, and then boom, there you go. You can offer that, or you can say like, first name, like, we'd love to create a free email campaign for a company. We recently did this for another brand and helped them generate $50,000 in sales from one email. Interested in discussing further. That kind of be a better way to put it. For the second framework, this is kind of the framework I just mentioned. So it's like, first name, interested in free work, like a free email campaign for company, and that's like literally the full email. I'd say a better one for this one, for this first framework. Like, first name, I created a strategy document breakdown for company, breaking down the influencer marketing strategy we use to generate 10 million impressions for a brand just like yours with our recent campaign. Interested in viewing the strategy document. It's a better example for this. And then for this one, it's just a one-liner email, and you can add this. PS is not necessary, but you can add it if you want to. But the full email is literally one-liner. Be like, hey, first name, interested in a free email campaign, or interested in a free ad creative, or interested in a free cold email campaign, or interested in the free 3 months of service, or interested in whatever free offer you can give to these people. Just literally mention that, and that's it. And then you can mention social proof that's relevant to whatever you're offering and relevant to their company too. Now, framework 3, first name, interested in. So this is like this is just like the straight up offer, like the old Hormozi framework. It's like, John, interested in generating 10 million views or 1 million views in the next 30 days with TikTok. We guarantee 1 million views minimum in 30 days of working with us, or we refund you completely. Interested in discussing further. Super basic email, but if you have the right offer, this still works. So that's just an example of that. And then like, that can also be the case of like, interested in joining the free network, or joining the network of 1% top 1% TikTok creators. We guarantee your product to be placed with 3 of these creators, or promoted by 3 of these creators, or we'll refund you or whatever. Interested in discussing further. Another example. For 4, first name, relevant pain point or call out, offers solutioning relevant pain point, and then interested based CTA. So For example, first name looks like you're in a hiring frenzy at company name for a sales roles. We offer to place a sales role within the next 7 days and give you a full month for free with this hire. Interested in discussing further? There's an example there, and then in the PS, you can always just mention social proof. So I just throw in here because it kind of fits the email well. Framework 5, first name, relevant touch point, notice relevant weak point from scalable data, interested in off. So this is like an example of a cybersecurity one. So it's like first name, notice there was a cybersecurity attack in the past 2 weeks in your area. Well, I guess it's like this first name, saw there's a cybersecurity attack in your area within 2 weeks. Notice that your company doesn't have XYZ protocol in place for managing these attacks. Interested in discussing how we could implement a new solution for free for you guys. There you have it. And then framework 6, first name, relevant touch point. So that could be like anything. Unique market insight around relevant touch point. Okay, so this could be like, let me think of this one. First name. I see that you are running advertisements on Facebook for your e-learning company. We've actually seen that e-learning companies, or we've seen that TikTok, the TikTok algorithm favors educational-based content, and we know that your e-learning product or company would perform very well on TikTok's algorithm for advertisement or creator content. Interested in a free campaign strategy, let's say, like interested in us creating a free influencer marketing campaign strategy deck for your company for penetrating or infiltrating TikTok with your company. So this is like for companies that are advertising on Facebook but are not on TikTok yet. That's an example, and that's like mentioning a unique market insight around the touch point. So those are a few examples. I'll share this document in the description as well, so you can check it out. But yeah, that's pretty much like the masterclass on like what creates a winning cold email in 2025, and how to apply each of these principles to whichever tier your offer belongs in. And judging your company, you can kind of get an idea of where your offer is at, and use what I mentioned in this video to apply it to your campaigns. So yeah, let me know if you found this one useful. It's a long one, and yeah, hope you found this one useful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments or anything. Yeah, my name is Christian. I didn't introduce myself in the beginning, but this is your first video watching from me. My name is Christian Placencia. You can check me out on LinkedIn. I'm the co-founder at RevGrowth, which we are a premier B2B outbound agency. We offer multi-channel solutions, so that goes beyond just cold email. We offer cold email, LinkedIn outreach, cold calling systems. We offer everything, and I have a full VSL on my website breaking down our exact company offering. So if that's something that's interesting to you, you're a B2B company, startup or SaaS, and you fit in that category, then you can go ahead and check me out and book a call with me there if you'd like for us to manage your outbound. If not, I recommend implementing what I mentioned in this video to your campaigns, and I hope you find success with your cold emails. Cheers.